This is Trusted Renovations. Over 25 projects, over 25 top companies in their field, all working toward one goal, to turn a dated 1970s ranch house into the dream home for one couple and their family. Here's just one of the companies who took on this amazing challenge. Welcome everyone to Trusted Renovations. I'm your consumer investigator Dale Cardwell, here with Bob Meekert and Billy Dyer with Mr. Reuter Plumbing and Septic. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing great, Dale. Thanks.
Thanks for coming. Let's face it, when it comes to septic systems, anything less than exceptional workmanship, well, it just stinks.
Really?
I worked hours on that. So that's why when we faced a complete septic upgrade at the Trusted Renovations home, I knew I had to call in a professional, an experienced company that didn't mind getting down and dirty in Jennifer's backyard. Okay, guys, this was a big job. Billy, what'd you see when you got there?
I saw an absolute nightmare. We had sewage leaking all over the place, and the system was old, and we knew we had our job cut out for us when we seen it. It was just like, wow.
You can't ignore a septic system for 25, 30 years, right?
Oh,
No,
absolutely not.
Okay, so you can't just go start digging around when you're dealing with sewage. There are many regulations homeowners must meet for the permitting process, including testing the soil. Let's take a look back at that crucial first step at Jennifer's home with Mr. Reuter's soil inspector.
Good. Just want to let you know that we've ran into some soil testing problems.
Okay.
And that,
I want to explain to you just a little bit about how a septic system has to be permitted. The health department requires that you put your septic trenches 2 feet above the water table. And we've run into some water table issues out here. And on this property, you're going to have to put your trenches at a shallow depth to stay above this water table. It's doable. It'll take what we call an alternative system, a pump that will have to lift the effluent to a shallower depth so that you can stay above this water table. Taking a core down to a depth of 6 feet, that indicate that there's a little bit slower drainage. So we're at 5 feet right now. First sign of some gray colors, which suggests that as long as we stay 2 feet above that system, should perform just fine.
So once we got the thumbs up from the state, that's when the real work begins. Bob, give us an overview about what you do when someone needs septic help.
Well, first of all, we try to we want to get their location, of course, and how old the house is, and when was the last time the tank was maintained, pumping, any repairs, any work that has been done.
So you triage the problem and you're efficient with people's time.
Exactly.
Billy, what happens next on site?
Well, what happens next on site is we get out, we dig the tank up. Once we open the lid, we can begin to troubleshoot any existing or prolonged problems that develop over time. Usually somebody's backing up, or usually somebody has discharge on the property.
So, Billy, what are some common problems you encounter when someone's been ignoring their septic system?
Well, some of the common problems is there's what's called baffletees in the system, and what happens is those have a tendency to rot, and when it does that, it allows solid material to get out into underground trenches and destroy the drain field.
Yeah, and so Jennifer was not happy with the news that her septic system had failed, and it had been decades since anyone had dealt with it. Later on, Billy's going to walk us through the steps it took to stabilize Jennifer's septic system. And speaking of Jennifer, let's hear what she had to say about it.
We had to have the septic, all the lines moved from the back of the house to the far left-hand side of the house because we wanted no septic out the back so we could put a pool in. And it was hilarious. We didn't know where the septic tanks were, and the septic tank company was asking us where were they. And according to the plans to the builder, the tank was in this certain place. Well, it wasn't. And do you know how we found it? I came home one day and I looked through the laundry window and the whole top of my septic tank was open, and it was about 10 feet away from where we thought it was. A truck had ridden across it. One of the builders that were building out in the back paddock had rode across it, and the whole septic tank, the lid caved in, and I'd never seen inside a septic tank before. It was very enlightening.
Having to move the septic system is going to be a big job. We have to create a lot of piping under the ground to hold the waste. And because we're creating a bioefficient system, the septic waste is going to be pushed into a series of underground tubes or chambers, where it can then soak into the ground effectively, creating a richer soil content. We had to dig the trenches about 4 feet down so they would sit on a solid soil foundation. Once they were done, we lay the pipe system piping into the ground, which we then cover with a plastic chamber to hold the septic return. In moving the septic system, we wanted to update the old concrete septic tank, which is an underground box. So instead, we're using a more modern plastic drainage system where we install the pump unit. Once everything is in, we can close it up and begin covering up the system. The very last thing we needed to do was power the pump above ground, here with an alarm system connected to it in case there is ever an emergency backup. When it's done, you can barely tell the difference.
That was quite a job. Here's the bottom line. To create a new drain field for this septic system, they needed to dot the I's and cross the T's to ensure the best results. So here are the numbers. In order to properly evaluate the system, a crew visited the home and pumped the existing system, which should always be done. The cost to do the work, including a dispatch fee, $178.95. Because Jennifer wanted to reroute the system to allow for an in-ground pool in her backyard, they also had the soil tested, which passed and was permitted for a total of $800. Now, most systems work with gravity, but the waste in the Trusted Renovations home needed to travel uphill, requiring a sewage ejection pump. That cost $8,400. The grand total for a worry-free septic system, $9,378.95.